Good evening. I'd formally like to welcome everyone, including members of tonight's gallery and press, to this council meeting. My name is Councillor Brett Cunningham and I am the Mayor of the Golden Plains Shire Council. Tonight this meeting is taking place within the council chambers at the Golden Plains Shire Council Civic Centre in Bannockburn and is open to the public. This meeting is being live streamed and in accordance with council's governance rules, and I welcome any viewers joining us online. As the meeting is open to the public to attend, if the live stream ceases at any time, the meeting will continue. I'll now recite the opening declaration on behalf of all councillors. We, the councillors of the Golden Plains Shire, declare that we will undertake on every occasion to carry out our duties in the best interest of the community, and that our conduct shall maintain the standards of the Code of Good Conduct, governance, so that we may faithfully represent and uphold the trust placed in this council by the people of the Golden Plains Shire. Acknowledgement of country. Golden Plains Shire acknowledges the First Nations people and respects their cultural heritage, beliefs and relationship with the land. Our shire spans the traditional lands of the Wadawurrung and Eastern Maar people. Council acknowledges them as the traditional owners and the custodians, and we pay our respects to both elders past, present and emerging. Council also extends that respect to all First Nations people who are part of the Golden Plains Shire. Councillors, are there any apologies for this meeting or request of leave of absence? Thank you. Confirmation of minutes. Councillors, we have a recommendation before us to confirm the minutes of the scheduled council meeting that was held on the 28th of November 2023. Can I please have a mover? Councillor Kirby. Please ask for a seconder. Councillor Getson, thank you. Would you like to speak to the motion? Thank you. Put to the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Conflicts of interest. Are there any declarations of conflicts of interest, councillors? As previously disclosed, I have declared a conflict of interest regarding Dale Drive Precinct. Public question time. Public question time runs for 30 minutes prior to the consideration of the formal agenda by council. We consider questions received with notice from the public. Each person will be called who has submitted a question forward. Please come up to the microphone and ask your question as it is submitted. Please note the question time is not an opportunity to make general statements or enter into debate with council or council officers. As tonight's questions are all in relation to the matter which I have declared a conflict of interest, I will ask for a motion to appoint a temporary chair. Does any council wish to nominate a temporary chair for the public question time? Mr. Campbell, can I have a seconder? Second that, cancel. Those in favour? Carried. I will now vacate the chair and ask Councillor Gamble to take over.
Mr. Mayor, what was the nature of the conflict?
A conflict of interest. I've previously declared a conflict of interest regarding Dale Drive.
And the nature of the conflict being?
General.
Page 3 in the agenda, public question time. Welcome everyone also. Public question time runs for 30 minutes prior to consideration of the formal agenda by council. We consider questions received with notice from the public. I'll call each person who has submitted a question forward. Please come up to the microphone and ask your question as it was submitted. I note the question time is not an opportunity to make general statements or enter into debate with council or officers. So firstly, can I ask, is Josh Trail here, please? Hi Josh, welcome. Josh, can you please read out your first question?
I'm going to withdraw question 1 for a written response and go straight to question 2.
Okay. Radio.
There is a growing perception amongst the local community, particularly in Bannockburn, that our elected councillors are being told by the administration when they can talk to the community and what they can say. We didn't elect the administration, we elected you, the councillors, who are accountable to us, the community. Do our elected councillors, not the administration, have anything to say regarding the council's overall conduct surrounding the rezoning of the Bannockburn Recreation Reserve and the underlying decision-making relating to consultation? And what do our councillors plan to do to restore any faith back into the local community?
Okay, thanks, Josh. I'll now ask a response from the Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Eric Brazlis, please.
Thanks, Josh. And just for the purposes of councillors, Josh and I have had a number of conversations throughout the day today to help clarify and explain a number of concerns and comments raised. Obviously, a conversation allows for a far better explanation than a statement in public question time. So that's a bit of background to Mr. Trowell's first query. In relation to the question as spoken, the decision making in relation to the rezoning and planning permit process for Dardell has been made in an open, transparent and public council meeting process. Although I do appreciate that the ultimate decision has been made by the Minister for Planning, and information will be shared with the community once that process has been completed through the Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Brazlis. Thanks, Josh. Can I please ask, is Peter McGee here, please? Hi, Peter. Yeah, if you're ready to read out your first question, please.
Just with regards to the subdivision in the Somerset Estate, when I purchased my land in Farrell Street off Mowbray, it was on the basis that the area was reserved for future shopping and sport development. So is it council I seek for compensation, or who is it if that tends to go ahead? Because the value of our property is clearly going to drop.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Brazlis, could you respond, please?
Thank you, Mr. McGee. The status of land, its zoning, and how it's developed may change over time. Under state government legislation, in some cases, residents are informed and may participate in these processes. In the case of Dardell, the Minister for Planning undertook a process and ultimately made a determination in relation to the rezoning.
And
So that would be the Department of Planning that I sue. Thank you. And question 2, disallowed. Why?
Peter, in accordance with Governor's Rule 3413, your second question will not be answered at this council meeting, as I have determined that as per rule sub rule 34.13b, it is objectionable substance. And as per sub rule 34.13d, it is aimed at embarrassing a member of council staff. However, you will still receive a written response as per rule 34.14. Thanks, Peter. Can I ask if Brian O'Shannessy is here, please? Hello, Brian.
Good evening. Before I ask my question, I put two propositions tonight to you. One, my first question, and one.
Sorry, Brian. You're not able to make general statements at this stage.
I understand this is where we're falling over representing the community. We've got half an hour. This has gone 5 minutes. It's all over. We get a question. We get a standard answer. We sit down like.
I'm sorry. This isn't the format to proceed with debates and speeches. Brian, could you answer your can you answer your question, please? Sorry, can you ask your question, please? Well, yeah, this isn't a place for venting those opinions, so we could follow that up with the response later, but right now, if you could ask your question, please. Well, maybe a specific forum or something could be arranged later, but this is the time for you to ask your public question and have it answered. Brian, could you ask your question, please?
When and how will council adequately notify residents about the loss of public space on Dardar Drive, as they've gone so far as to get it rezoned, and they haven't told the residents, they haven't advertised the residents?
Okay, thank you. Mr. Eric Braslers, could you respond, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. O'Shannessy. As you're aware, the Minister for Planning has undertaken a planning scheme amendment process. That process resulted in a panel hearing. All individuals that made a submission to the panel have been notified formally of the decision of the Minister for Planning. I do appreciate that there may be individuals in the broader community that are not aware of the ultimate decision by the Minister for Planning, and Council will, through its general notification and public media processes, make community aware. But all those that have made a formal submission have been directly notified and informed.
Thank you. At this stage,
You can close the mic.
I'll invite the Mayor back.
So we've gone through public question time.
Councillors, prior to please. We're now on to consider the formal agenda. Prior to considering tonight's formal agenda, I would like to take this moment to recognise and acknowledge. Thank you. Councillors, prior to considering tonight's formal agenda, I would like to take this moment to recognise and acknowledge the recent passing of a former Golden Plains councillor, Greg Vaughan. Greg passed away peacefully surrounded by his family on the 11th of December 2023. Greg was born on 20th of February 1954 to Stanley and Isabel Vaughan. He was loved by wife, married, and children Alison, Catherine and Adam, son-in-laws Peter, Nathan and daughter-in-law Kim, grandchildren William, Samuel, Sullivan, Everett and Henry, and siblings Christine, June, Bruce and Andrew. Greg also served as a councillor for the Golden Plains Shire from 1996 to 1998 and returned for another term in 2012 to 2016. Greg also served as a councillor at the Corio Shire from 1985 to 1988. Greg joined the police force at the age of 17, with his last official posting being at Bannockburn as a police sergeant. Greg was also awarded the Australian Police Medal for his service. Greg also joined Vic SES in Torquay whilst he was in the police force and finished 15 years of dedicated service at the Bannockburn SES unit. Greg's knowledge of incidents response, securing of evidence and road traffic incidents was second to none. Greg was also a member of Geelong RSL until the RSL in Inverleigh decided to steal him to help them out. Greg supported the RSL by being the welfare manager, which is a two-role position. Firstly, to visit ill RSL members and check on them from time to time, and secondly, assisting with the running of the Anzac Day and Remembrance badge sales. Greg was always there for advice, assistance in any matter. On behalf of the councillor group, organisation and community, our deepest condolences go out to Greg's family and friends. As we now move to the formal agenda, there are no, done all that. Agenda item 7.1, business reports for decisions. I refer councillors to page 6 of the agenda for this report. Councillors, the recommendation is that council receive and note delegates' reports and informal meetings of councillors for the past month. Can I please ask for a mover of the recommendation? Councillor Whitfield. Can I please ask for a seconder? Councillor Gamble. Thank you. Councillor Whitfield, would you like to speak to the motion, please?
Just briefly, thanks, Mr Mayor. This month I had the pleasure of presenting the 2023 Merrill Student Award at the Wodialloc Primary School Scarsdale campus. First thing I noticed about the Scarsdale campus is how well behaved all those children are. Their students went for over an hour. The awards went for over an hour, and all students from grade 1 to 6 listened attentively the entire time. Those teachers clearly have a system that is working very well, and they should be very proud. The Merrill Award is for a student that respects their teachers, leaders, other students, and is always helping others and displays admirable values. You could tell the recipient of the Merrill Student Award at Scarsdale was thrilled to receive it. Also, I went to a couple of new working group meetings, budget working group meetings, along with Councillor Sharkey this month, the purpose of which is to keep the councillors better informed on the progress of compiling the 24-25 budget, and to be able to delve down into a few more specifics there, which was quite informative, and do feel like we have a little bit better ownership of the budget process. So that's been good too. Thanks, Mr Mayor. That'll do.
Thank you. Councillor Gamble, would you like to speak to the motion, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I've been pretty busy. I'll start speaking about the Teesdale Kindergarten end-of-year event I went to, which is really nice, warm, friendly kind of event where the little kids gave a concert later on. The one of the kinder, I mentioned it also because one of the kinder teachers there, still there, taught my boys, so that's worth some recognition. And I went to the Meredith Primary School, Merrill Student Award presentation, which is excellent, and Michaela Settle was in attendance too. At the Teesdale Primary School Merrill Student Award presentation, in my speech I realised it's worth saying that there's something very special about the local government, the Shire, and the small township communities that many of us live in. And I realised that Year 6 group will always have a special bond coming from a community like that. Like, I've seen it just recently with my eldest boy attended a 21st in Teesdale a few weeks ago, and even those graduating year group, they all went to different secondary schools and they're doing different things in life. They still sort of keep in touch, and they get together for events like this through a good use of technology, just keeping in touch like that, and their boys too, which is really good. And yeah, so to have a town, a community where we know a lot of people is a great thing, and we should always appreciate that. It's something pretty special in our shire. Meredith Music Festival, I attended part of it, and I've got to say I was pretty proud to be there and hosting one of that our shire hosts one of the best, if not the best, music festival in Victoria, perhaps Australia. It was a really good event. I just passed the Golden Plains Twilight Market and noticed there was a massive cars on the road there, so that's that looks like it being another successful event. So I'll leave it there. I'll just say also I went, as Councillor Sharkey sometimes goes in the park run and I went on a couple of bike rides out of the heart in Bannockburn too, which always gets a lot of discussion going as we're just winding around the roads. So, and the farmers market, unfortunately, was pretty wet, but it was still a good, friendly event. Thank you.
Much. Any other councillors wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Rowe, thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. On Sunday the 10th of December I attended the Sullivans Creek District Christmas Party at the Tennis Club Rooms. It's a well-attended event. Excellent barbecue was had along with salads and desserts. Santa gave out presents to approximately 35 pre and primary school aged children as well. So that's all, thank you.
Other councillors wishing to speak to the motion? Councillor Getsom, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I attended the Manavadar Community Plan launch. Disappointing there was no other council staff there, but I did speak to the organisers and found out what their plan was. So I just launched that. They had a Christmas dinner, well attended, over 70 odd people there, and I got the honour of being that man in red and white, so I had to do a few ho-ho-hos, so it was quite good. I also attended the Smythesdale Market last Saturday in conjunction with Martha Howlett and Catherine King. They both had a stall there as well. There was 40 plus stalls there, so it was quite good. Great entertainment and foods as usual. I presented the Haddon Merrill Award at the Haddon Primary School on behalf of yourself, and also the Smythesdale one, which was actually brought forward because the girl that was to receive it was going away on holiday, so the actual presentation should have been today. And I attended Timbertown's Victorian General Meeting. I tried to Zoom in at home, couldn't do it. I went to the well at Smythesdale, had trouble at the well to get in, but luckily the great staff at the well got us hooked up, so we eventually got on. So that's all. Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Any other councillors wishing to speak to the motion? Councillor Sharkey, thank you.
Thank you very much. Busy month for everyone around prior to Christmas. I attended a couple of sort of strategic days that took up a good bit of time. One of which was the ministerial roundtable developing a new plan for Victoria in Melbourne with the Honourable Sonia Kilkenny, who is the Minister of Planning and Minister of Suburbs. Just a couple of small little takeaways. I know a lot of councils we've got some information distributed on this prior, but just one of those things is looking at this Victorian plan. It's a massive plan, and it is looking at that long-term plan of the current population of Victoria is 6.5 million, and that's by 2050 moving up to 10.3 million. So it's a massive amount of growth in a what feels like a long time, but it's not that long. 2050. Of that breakup, quite interestingly, some of the figures I jotted down there is that the Metro Melbourne area is going to sort of see a 63% growth. Regional Victoria is going to see a 43% growth to get these targets. But peri-urban councils like us are going to absorb or see a 66% growth in our areas. So whilst we're we're only moving from say 300 to 500,000, we're one of the small players, but we're going to be under considerable pressure during this, so there does need to be a really good plan in place. We've seen here tonight the example of communities feeling they're not well informed, and plans like this are essential, because at the end of the day, I was walking around with my kids in Melbourne. I've never seen so many homeless people sleeping on the streets, and not your stereotypical homeless people. There's a lot of people out there doing it tough, and they need housing, they need land, and there needs to be a big plan put in place. But just thinking about that, so the Victorian plan is 300,000 to 500,000, which doesn't seem like a big number. But if you just take Bannockburn itself, Bannockburn itself is about 40,000 of that figure. So, Bannockburn's going to be at close to 40,000. So there's a massive amount of pressure and change on our tiny little community. And so that meeting with the Minister was largely putting forward the voices of peri-urban councils, just asking for, further education on it, inclusive policies, sustainable innovations, and more importantly, affordable development. So it was quite an interesting day, and definitely probably had more questions a day or two later pondering it all, because it's a massive plan put in place, very ambitious, and big numbers. Also took part, as Councillor Whitfield said there, in a couple of budget briefings, and also the regional libraries of Geelong, with regards to a planning day, and really trying to set up this transition of libraries, and really setting up the next councils for that transition. Thank you.
Councillor Sharkey. Councillor Kirby.
Mr. Mayor. Yes, first of all, I'd also like to acknowledge Greg Vaughan on his participation as being a councillor with the Golden Plains Shire. He was a good friend at the time. Only met him through council. He was a great leader in trying to get the Bannockburn High School here as well. So to Greg's family and friends, I really think it's a very sad moment for all of them. I'd also like to say that I attended the Mayoral's Award at Cape Clear, Linton and Rokewood Primary Schools. Wonderful evenings. The children doing a magnificent job. And I'd just like to say that even though Linton only had one grade 6 person, it was fantastic to give the award to a preppy. So well done. Thank you.
Very busy month, but just a couple of things I want to highlight. So this afternoon I was involved with an online meeting with Minister Horn, who's the Minister for Local Government, and it was in regards to legislative reforms, changes to the Council Code of Conduct, which they're hoping to be able to bring to full Parliament start of early next year, hopefully. I also attended the Geelong West CFA Linton Bushfire 25th Anniversary Commemoration service that was held at West Park Memorial in Geelong West. It was a very emotional service, with many family members of the 5 Geelong West CFA members that had lost their lives in attendance. The Mayoral Student Awards. Each year, as we know, the Golden Plains Shire presents the Mayoral Award. This year the award was presented to applicable award winners at 14 primary schools throughout our shire. As there was a lot of double-ups award ceremonies, I was unable to attend all of them, so I'd please like to acknowledge and thank my fellow councillors, Councillor Getson, Gamble, Kirby and Whitfield, for attending award ceremonies on my behalf. And lastly but not leastly, next but not last, International Day of People with Disabilities. I attended the International Day of People with Disabilities that was observed on December the 3rd. The day is designed to improve the understanding of disability issues and to campaign for the dignity, right, well-being and inclusion of persons with disabilities in all aspects of life and community. Councillor Whitfield, would you like to close? If not, I'll...
Excuse me, Mayor. Could I just make a clarification?
Councillor.
I think I said the Teesdale Twilight Market, which I did pass on the way here, but I also meant to speak in the Golden Plains Twilight Market, which was, I only attended early, but it was really, really busy. It's an excellent event, and I, along with others, bought quite a few Christmas presents there. So, thank you.
No, that's very good. I'll now put to the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Agenda item 7.2, Council Committee Delegates 2024. Councillors, I refer you to page 9 of the agenda for this report. The recommendation is that Council appoints Council Delegates to the various internal and external organisation committees for 2024 as per the list attached. Do I have a mover for the recommendation? At this point in time, councillors, under the Code of Conduct, I'd just like to remind everyone of section 6.621 and 622, which is councillors need to participate in decision making and council represent the interests of the community in decision making and partaking in debate. So, can I have a mover for this recommendation, please? Councillor Gamble, thank you. May I have a seconder? Kirby. Very much. Councillor Gamble.
I'd like to support the recommendation and commend my fellow councillors do likewise. Thank you.
Councillor Kirby, would you like to speak to the motion, please?
Yes, thank you. I think that, you know, we do all spread ourselves far and wide around the Shire as well as onto other committees. So I think it's good that if someone has had a little bit of a change or you'd like to step up into a different role. So so I take it on board that not everyone has the time, but I think what we've settled on is quite adequate. Thank you.
Any other councillors wishing to speak to the motion? Any councillors wishing to speak against the motion? If not, I'd ask Councillor Gamble to close.
I'll add a few things. I agree with Councillor Kirby. I think it is good to change up portfolios, and so I've elected to go in the corporate services portfolio. Some people might think my natural element might be more in the environment portfolio, but I recognise as a councillor it's good to we've got to cover a lot of bases, and there's a lot of moving parts in the organisation, and so to get more familiar and a deeper understanding of the different areas is a good thing. I must say my recent stint in the in all the portfolios I've been in has been really really satisfying and enriching for my understanding. I've also elected to go on the Fire Management Planning Committee. I think that I'm really worried that could become a with the hottest year in record around the world, and fire being a major threat in a lot of our shire. I think it's really important that we. I feel a responsibility to help with the planning on that committee. And also I've elected to help Councillor Kirby in the Arts, Heritage and Culture one. I've elected for quite a number of G21 pillars because I believe that that's really important and significant alliance that we have. And working with governments of state and federal, giving them a guide to investment in the best growth for the region. Any sort of input and direction we can help in that regard is of high value in my opinion. So yeah, I think it's a really good advocacy and a democratically backed voice for the region, and we do benefit from it. So I'll leave it there, thanks.
Councillor, I'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. Agenda item 7.3, schedule of council meetings for 2024. I refer councillors to page 11 of the agenda for this report. The recommendation is council adopts option 1 as attached as the 2024 council meeting schedule. Are there any questions? Councillor Kirby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, if I may ask, I was just wondering how many people tuned into our live streams monthly, whether it be in the Bannockburn Civic Centre at Linton or Smythesdale, please, Ms. Gray.
Thank you, Councillor Kirby, and I appreciate and acknowledge you sending through those questions this afternoon. I've not had time to pull all that data this afternoon in time for this meeting, but we'll take that on notice and we will respond. But I will add that I can confirm that the advice provided in December 22 and currently again in December 23 is still current and valid in relation to connectivity in Linton, continuing to do significant lobbying by both our IT department and EcoDev at relevant forums, etc., continues. With respect to possible alternative connection options for Linton, it was suggested in December last year that council could connect via a satellite service such as Skymaster, Starlink, and also Nighthawk is another example. This gives, putting aside the cost of the business connection, such a service still wouldn't provide the necessary bandwidth to enable us to simultaneously live stream council meetings and permit the virtual attendance of community members and or councillors. They are not synchronous services, with the upload bandwidth not being equal to the download bandwidth. Appreciate that's technology speak, Councillor Kirby. To be able to provide a quality live stream to the internet, it requires high upload bandwidth capability, with the capability not meeting the requirements, especially with peak internet usage times between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m, which makes it less than adequate for continuous live streaming. So it's not about council purchasing a suitable device or plan. At the moment, there are no suitable plans because the underlying infrastructure does not support them. And so thank you for the opportunity, but I will, as I said, take your questions from this afternoon on notice and we can pull the full data for you.
Still have a mover for the recommendation? Councillor Kirby.
Yes, I'd like to move an amendment to change option 1 from Tuesday, the 26th of March 2024, from the Well in Smilesdale to Linton Municipal Hall, and Tuesday, the 26th of November 2024, from the Well Smilesdale to the Linton Municipal Hall, and also for the CEO to connect the internet to the Linton Shire Municipal Hall at a reasonable cost.
I have a seconder to the motion, please. Councillor Gibson. Councillor Kirby, can I ask you?
Point of order, Mr. Mayor, with regards to that motion which was spoken isn't the same as the one that was distributed, so I just want a bit of clarity with regards to that. But the second part of that is for the CEO to connect to the internet to Linton Shire Hall. That, in my opinion, is against the governance rules with regards to the cost of that outside of a budget item. And we've just been clearly told that we can't do that, so I'm just seeking clarity on that motion, that's within governance rules.
Okay. I've been advised part of the Councillor Kirby and Councillor Gibson are happy to put an option as in that we would ask for a report on options for connection. Ask Councillor Kirby to speak to the motion. Councillor Kirby, would you like to speak to your motion, please? Okay, we'll wait till you get yourself there.
I'm just concerned, thank you, that if we lose Linton as a community facility and being a historical building, that we're going to lose something that's extremely valuable and important to us as a shire. We have lost a couple already, so even though we have sold one off, which was the halfway house in Warrenbean, and then we've also you know, we don't have control really of Meredith, that is now used for historical meetings. We also have virtually lost control of the one in Bannockburn as well. So if we were to not have meetings there, we are doing a very unjust thing to the residents of the north of the Shire. Yes, we can use Smivesdale. It's pretty, it's nice, it's new, but let's face it, everything doesn't have to be new and pretty. We can go to a beautiful old building that's historical, that's got a little bit of meaning to it, and you know, we're part of the goldfields. You know, we're part of the goldfields, and this is the heritage of Linton. I don't have forefathers that were born there or moved there, but I do respect heritage, and that's what I'm all about, is preserving the heritage. Another point is that we have not gone out for community consultation regarding not being at Linton. This is going around the table as a councillor, what we think, but we have not consulted with the community. And until we do that and they say, look, we think it's a bad idea that you still have meetings here, well, in the meantime, I'm going to keep fighting for it. So I think at the moment, we've really got to consider what the public want. As we know, this was a rich mining town, and we're part of the Goldfields heritage. And, you know, this can be part of the heritage of Smivesdale, of Rokewood, the whole centre and north of the Shire. So at the same time, we've got to keep our meetings up in the north as well as the south. I know we don't have any meetings in the centre of the Shire anymore, like a previous council did, but at least we're showing some respect to the historical values. We realise that the internet is also a bit of a problem, but I'm sure in this day and age we can overcome internet problems. That's why I asked the question of Ms Gray if there's how many people are live streaming the internet while we're having a council meeting. And I know in the past it's been very few and far between. You know, if we hit over 10 people, I think we're doing pretty well. Most of the people watch it afterwards, after the meeting has finished itself. So I think that for a small budget, I don't think it's that much to ask for to have an internet connection up there where the community could also benefit. So not only would we be using it, but the community of Linton could be using that internet as well. So that's my case I'm putting forward, Mr Mayor, and I would really hate to see us lose the Linton Municipal Hall. Thank you.
Councillor Kirby. Councillor Gepson, would you like to speak for the motion?
I think Councillor Kirby's probably summed it up, but I'm a little bit disappointed that the staff bus tour went up there the other day, and I heard they didn't even stop and go into the hall.
Councillor Gepson, but that's nothing to do with what we're talking about. We're talking about a motion about the meetings.
Yeah, well, I think it'd be nice to keep this open and have meetings there. We do get people that do appear. We always get 2 or 3 or whatever that are interested to come along. So there's a couple of emails gone around today about still having it. Why aren't we having it? But I'm not going to go any further into it, so I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Any other councillors wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Rowe, thank you.
Thanks very much, Mr Mayor. First of all, I'd just like to give this council a bit of a history lesson. Now, before this CO was employed with this council, going back to 2016 when the decision was made to spend $10 million on the Golden Plains Civic Centre, the commitment at the time from the organisation and council was to still hold council meetings in the north of the Shire at Linton. And thus the reason why I am supporting 2 meetings at Linton and 3 at Smivesdale and 6 at the Golden Plains Civic Centre. Thank you.
Any other councillors wish to speak to the motion? Any councillors wishing to speak against the motion? Councillor Gamble.
Can I foreshadow a motion to suggest just 1 meeting at Linton? And I'd like to speak in response to Councillor Kirby's alternative motion. I think there are strong arguments on both sides of this issue, which makes it quite a hard one. It's I recognise that people all over the Shire deserve representation and the ability to participate, and a lot of people in the Linton community feel that quite strongly because it was the seat of their old Shire. The Grenville Hall there, or the Linton Hall was Shire of Grenville back in the day. And so it's good for physical participation for Linton people, but with no very poor virtual and online forms of participation, it does put us in breach with legislative compliance with the Local Government Act as it's laid down, and we should be complying to that. I do feel, however, that it is perhaps an issue that is best decided by the next councillor group. I'm not certain that the technology can be improved. Some people, like in the community, say you could do certain things, but our own IT people and advice suggest that it can't be done without a fair bit of expense. And then it really is only 14 k's down the road. We have all the facilities set up at Smythesdale, and so that makes it sort of fairly compelling economically to have the meetings at Smythesdale rather than Linton. However, I acknowledge the commitments given in the past, even though I don't know them for sure, and I wasn't there then, but I note the City of Geelong has their meetings in different locations, so I believe it can be done. But given Linton's particular isolation and circumstance, or relative isolation, it's a lot more difficult than other places. So I'll leave it there, and just knowing that I've foreshadowed a motion for one meeting.
Thanks, Councillor Campbell. Any other councillors wishing to speak against the motion?
Speaking against the motion. Councillors, our role here, and as the Mayor has highlighted there, calling out part of the Act, is that we must participate, pay attention and read reports. This motion is asking for a report to come. Councillors, we received part of this report this week in an email, and for those that were paying attention, all that was from the relevant officer was a cut and paste of what was sent to us nearly a year to the date. So we're being told over and over again that the expert advice from IT is the broadband width can't be done at Linton. We're boiling this whole discussion and debate down to whether Linton is underappreciated or overappreciated, or whether it shouldn't be there. Our decisions here in this room are the ones that should affect us into the future. We should be looking forward and not backwards. Linton has, in my opinion, been a fantastic cornerstone of this shire, as was the old Bannockburn Shire, which we moved, which is 5 minutes down the road, and we moved into this fantastic building. Strategically, we're doing the same. We have committed to Smythesdale. This council has made the decision to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in further land purchases around the well. We're committing to the people of the Shire that we're saying the well is the location into the future. That's where the population growth is going to be. Now, don't make this decision based on internal fluff. Make this decision on the next council, because what I'm hearing from people and residents and future candidates is that they are considering being councillors and never have considered it before, for the simple fact of the amount of IT that we've spent. We've spent nearly $150,000 on this IT equipment here during COVID. The well has been spent tens of thousands of dollars there. If we were able to upgrade Linton, I would disagree with that, and I would be against spending $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 just so we can hold 2 meetings there a year, so they can be live streamed. Councillor Kirby is 100% correct. Most people are watching these meetings afterwards. And I give you the tip, and a wise person said to me, I love watching the meetings afterwards, but I put you all in ×2 speed and ×3 just to go through the items that I want to. And that's the way of the future. That's what people are doing. Now, our last council meeting was held in Linton. We had a councillor who was not present in that room. Their voice was not in that room at the day, and I believe that that person's voice could have been in the room if we had the IT equipment, or would have had the option to do that. So if that meeting was held at the Well, which is a 10-minute drive, there's people in this chamber here that have driven more than 10 minutes to get to this chamber, they would be able to access that online. So if we want to talk about gender equality and attracting younger people, people that have families and young kids, they will be able to, in the next council or even our term, stay at home and partake in these meetings. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on IT equipment, and yet we're boiling this whole argument down to Linton. Our commitment to Linton is stronger now than it ever has been. This year we've committed tens of thousands of dollars to keep the community group going there. We've actively campaigned and asked the residents there to inject some life into the building. We've finally been told that there's some life in there. Whether we hold our 1 or 2 council meetings there a year isn't going to make the difference for the Linton community. Thank you.
Any other councillors wishing to speak for, speak against? I'll ask Councillor Kirby to close. Councillor Whitfield, would you like to speak against the motion? Speak to the motion. Sorry.
Yeah, well, as Councillor Gamble said, there are points for and against. Councillor Sharkey actually mentioned me. I was the person that would have loved to have been able to zoom in at the last Linton meeting because I had carer responsibilities, and I could have zoomed in from home, but I could not afford the 2 hours, 1 hour there and 1 hour back away from those responsibilities. So yes, I was very disappointed that Linton wasn't able to accommodate that, and according to our expert IT staff, it won't be capable anytime soon without significant investment. I don't want to repeat what others have said, but yes, the 10-minute drive from Linton to Smythesdale is not onerous. You know, people come from Teesdale or Inverleigh to here, which is a 10-minute drive as well. And in the report, which I think we've all read, there is cause or rationale for the split in north and south to be along the lines of population density, which would put the split at about 8-3, 8 in Bannockburn and 3 in 8 in the south, 3 in the north. I'm much more willing to compromise and would be interested in a 7-4 split, and I'll just put that out there for the other councillors as we move through these various amendments and motions. But yeah, just would like to say I was disappointed I couldn't attend. And as far as what previous councils organised, you know, times change and opportunities change and rationales change according to the environments, and we're in an IT environment and we should be able to use it. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
So Kirby, I'll ask you to close the discussion on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, it is a very hard decision going forward, but I do believe that with the technology that we have today, Telstra, Optus, Starlink, whoever's out there, could make it happen. We have to approach them and make it happen. I'm all for having younger people, more vibrant people who want to be part of the internet and be able to zoom in, be able to connect. And to be honest, we could have done this 12 months ago. If we wanted to put our hands in our pocket and give the people of Linton a little bit of internet, it's not just going to benefit us as a council, but it's going to benefit the whole community and district. It's not just us. So, you know, when we think of a bit of money to put into something, we should be doing that. As I said previously, we've had no resolution of council to move actually out of Linton and move to Smythesdale. We have never consulted with the community. What are we hearing tonight? we haven't consulted with the community. So take it on board, councillors. Until that happens, we shouldn't even be talking about this. It should be a split 50-50 between the north and the south. So take that on board, please, councillors, and please keep our historical building alive, only for the fact that, you know, we're doing wrap things, we're thinking about our Aboriginal heritage from the past, and yet here we are wanting to give something up of our own heritage. Is what we are giving up. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Kirby. I'll now put Councillor Kirby's alternative motion to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? Councillor, return.
Foreshadowed.
Yep. Foreshadow. Councillor Campbell. Sorry.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. My foreshadow motion, my motion is that we adopt option 1 with the change on the 26th of March to meet at Linton.
Do you have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Kirby, thank you. Councillor Gamble, would you like to speak to your motion?
I see it as somewhat of a compromise, and still maintain at least one meeting at the Old Grenfell Shire Hall, Linton Community Hall, next year. And the reason I didn't support the previous motion is I do believe it's in the broader community's interest to be able to participate, and doing that online is definitely important now. With the North 5, South 6 divide there, it is more favourable to the north as well, so we will be spending a proportionally more percentage of meetings relative to the population in the north. And like I mentioned before, the legislative requirements that we should be using online capabilities a lot more, that compels me to go to one meeting at Linton, still maintain a link, but and then recognising this is the last year of this councillor group, it can be reconsidered, along with potentially another look at the potential technology that could be utilised to improve the linkage there. Thank you.
Yeah. Councillor Kirby, would you like to speak to the motion, please?
Yes, thank you. All right, I'll have to settle for one meeting a year. If that's what it takes, that's what it takes. I think we, our online meetings, I'm very happy for them to go ahead, but once again, whether it's one meeting, 2 meetings or 10 meetings, we have to put the same infrastructure in for that one meeting. So either way, I'm definitely still going to back this, even if it's one meeting, only for the simple fact that we have not done community consultation. So I'm definitely backing Councillor Gamble on this one. Thank you.
Any other councillors wishing to speak to the motion? Wishing to speak against the motion? Councillor Sharkey.
Yeah, thanks very much. Look, if this was a strategic decision of council and we fully committed to this being our last meeting at Linton, and I think all of us here appreciate that Linton does hold a historical value, and it's been there. I'd probably be in supportive of this motion if the council's decision was that this was the last meeting to be held in Linton, and we had a little bit of a thing where we invited some of the old councillors that have been there of the day and sort of had a farewell, a bon voyage for Linton. I'd probably be supportive of this. We have to sever time deputise councillors at some stage. We have to look forward into the future. If Councillor Gamble and Councillor Kirby added something to this, that we also put something to celebrate this as our last meeting there, that I feel would set up the council into the future for a good... We have to appreciate the advice that's been given to us. And I'll repeat myself regarding the budgetary cost of this. To hold one meeting in Linton, and as Councillor Kirby says, to spend the few dollars, that we're being told it's tens of thousands of dollars. I just can't, I wouldn't do it in my own household, and I wouldn't make that decision on behalf of the community. And I'm a little bit disappointed that we're here debating this after listening to Councillor Whitfield's comment that he was at home as a carer and would have attended a council meeting. Now, if he's under the same circumstances in March 26 next year, he's not in attendance. Now, there's instances, my children are coming to a little bit more of an age, but there's plenty of instances in the past where I would have loved to have stayed at home and had the kids in one room and attend a meeting virtually. We are being told, we've got a gender issue in this council, we're being told that women, mothers and the like want to get on council and they want the flexibility. We've got it and we're restricting them from that. We're being told that the bandwidth isn't there, the capabilities aren't there. Look, as I said, I'd be happy to support this motion if we put a little bit around the acknowledgement that this is the last meeting held at Linton, and ultimately the next council will make that decision. But happy to support this motion if that's added to the motion put forward.
Okay, so if Councillor Kirby and Gamble agree to Councillor Sharkey's last meeting, Linton.
I'm afraid I can't agree to that because it's not possible for us to predict or the future. Do I need to say more there? Or?
No, that's fine.
Yeah, and so my point, because as I just said, it's not our decision into the future. The next council will, if they want to have all meetings in Linton, that's their decision. But I'm probably just trying to take the opportunity that if we did hold this meeting here, we could have a little bit of a mini celebration of its historical moment in time, because odds are it's not going to be there into the future.
Want to move that amendment to the motion?
Yes.
Councillor Sharkey, would you like to speak to your amendment to the motion?
Yeah. Thanks. Look, I think this is quite a debatable conversation with us. I think this is the happy medium with us all with this. Whether you vote for or against this, it's not our decision into the future. It's not our decision. This is the next 12 months. After that, whoever sits in these chairs can decide to have all the meetings at Linton, Smearsdale. We're sitting here debating about Linton. I know there's members in the community in Batesford that would love to have us down there. We don't have a hall down there. Inverleigh, Teesdale, Lethbridge. There's plenty of communities around the Shire that have halls that would like to have us at meetings. But we have to appreciate the IT technology there. But I think this is the happy medium, councillors. I think it's a nice. I think every councillor in this room has a little bit of a win and loss out of this one. But I was probably disappointed walking away from Linton the last time, because I thought to myself, this could possibly be the last time here, and it would be nice. We've spent a few moments here acknowledging a previous councillor that passed away. I feel it would be nice to acknowledge the Linton building, appreciate it for what it has been, and ultimately we're not making a decision forever. And as Councillor O raised before, that there was a deal done in some back room somewhere saying that the commitment, at the end of the day, it's motions put forward and decisions that make holds council accountable, and don't overlook the fact that we are not making a decision forever. The next council will make theirs, but this is ours. Thank you.
Councillor Phil, would you like to speak to the amendment to the motion? Any other councillors wish to speak to the amendment to the motion? Speak to the amendment to the motion or against? Against. Any councillor wishing to speak against the amendment to the motion? Councillor Kirby.
Look, Councillor Sharkey, we are the council of the day. Not 12 months' time, now. We are the ones that make the decisions. And we should actually have this going out to the community for community consultation before we even, you know, really vote on this tonight. I think that as a council, if Linton are happy for it just to slide away and we just don't have any more meetings there, I'm happy to go ahead with that. But I think overall we have to act in the best interests of the whole Golden Plains Shire. Not just one end, because yes, they might have a few more residents up one end, but we are here to represent the whole Shire. That is the reason we don't have ridings, because that's what we were voted in to do, to listen to the community on what they want. And, you know, this is what we've been listening to. They don't want to lose their building there. We've never gone out to the community for community consultation. We've got to just make sure that we're acting in the best interests of this whole municipality. So I just believe that as a council, we are here to make the decision tonight, or to put it out to the community first before it does go ahead, because we can come back with a special meeting if need be and make sure that we have some community consultation for the first few months and then come back, because we have changed dates in the past. But please just think of us. We have still got 8, 9, 10 months, whatever, before the next elections. And I don't want to be thinking of the future and saying, I'm just going to leave it up to the next council group. I'm going to leave it up to the next ones. It is our decision now, and we have to make sure we are listening to the community now. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I'll let you close. Oh, sorry, Councillor Campbell used to speak against the amendment to the motion.
Yep. I raised the point that we can't predict or presume to know what the future group will do, so by saying this is the last meeting, that's preempting potential decision in the future. I point out also the hall is used by 4 community groups. It's part of a community hub. It's been successful as a mainstay in Linton, and any actions to improve the capability for council would also benefit those groups too. And the Linton History Group often has speakers online, etc., which they admit doesn't always go well, but seems to go better sometimes than our council meeting did last time. You know, like Geelong Council themselves, they meet at about 4 different places during the year, so that is a potential consideration into the future, which I wouldn't be against, to have some sort of semi-mobile hybrid meeting format. And I would consider that Linton would be a candidate if there was any expansion possible for meetings in different places. So I think it would be presumptuary to say that that is the last meeting we are having next year. Thank you.
Councillor Sharkey, would you like to close?
Yeah, thanks. I don't disagree with some of those comments. I was trying to find the happy medium, and I felt that amendment would see everyone having a little bit of a win and loss here. And as I outlined at the start, that decision is not locking anyone in. We may set up to have that one as the last meeting. I'd be just disappointed if we miss that opportunity. Regarding community consultation, let's, you know, and it doesn't take much with regards to your question, Councillor Kirby, in terms of how many people are watching. We've got 8 people watching this now, and I can guarantee you there's probably 3 or 4 officers watching it and 4 people in the community. But you are right, afterwards, at the last Linton meeting, 74 people watched it, and that was that broke down and was only 37 minutes put online. Each meeting we have over 100, 137 one month, 105, 100 people watching the meeting and going back. And they go back to watch the specific item, whether it's a planning item, whether it's this item or question time. They're only watching snippets. So when we see 100 people have viewed it, I guarantee you they're only watching about 3 or 4 minutes in double speed. IT. Yeah, I felt that was a happy medium in terms of that amendment, councillors. So for those other councillors there, let's not debate this for hours. We've spoken about it. We should be coming to these meetings a lot more prepared with these decisions. I feel this is the happy medium, councillors. Thank you.
Thank you. Council will now put Councillor Sharkey's amendment motion to the vote. All those in favour? Amendment to the motion is lost. We go back to Councillor Campbell's motion. So, where do we go there? Do we need to close? Councillor Gamble needs to close?
I contend that this motion is the happy medium, and we're debating happy mediums. But anyway, it is an important issue, and I think it's important that we maintain that historical tie somewhat. May not go on in the future. That's to be determined in the future. But yeah, I think this is a suitable option for next year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Gamble, just confirming that it's option 1, but with the change being Tuesday 26th of March 2024, the meeting would be held at Linton. Okay. I'll put that recommendation or that option to the council group. All those in favour? Voting against the motion, sorry. Councillor Sharkey, my apologies. Okay.
Provision, please.
You can. All those councillors that voted for. Councillor Kirby, Councillor Getsom. Councillor Rowe. Councillor Sharkey.
Backflip. Complete backflip.
Councillor Kirby, Councillor Getsom, Councillor Sharkey, Councillor Rowe, Councillor Whitfield, Councillor Gamble. Unanimous. Thank you. So, councillors, we move on to agenda item 7.4, which is in regards to councillor engagement to 2024. I refer to councillors to page 14 of the agenda of this report, and also take the report as to have been read. Are there any questions?
Thank you. I know it's a tight time frame for our councillor engagement, but I was just wondering why we couldn't slot in some other venues around the Shire that might be a little bit more suitable for some of the other councillors, instead of just having one in the north and one in the south. I think where there's a lot of small towns and the centre of the Shire that is missing out on this councillor engagement. The question is, have we considered any other venues?
I'll answer that on behalf of Comms. The options were put to Councillor, as I understand, at the last briefing. An opportunity was put there to have that conversation about what councillors would or wouldn't like to do, where, when, and how. My understanding is it was generally supported that there be only a couple, and in addition to the regular budget conversations we have with community. So nothing more or less to add than that.
Other councillors?
Could I just clarify the role of online engagements with the recommendation?
What's the question?
Yeah. Yeah, I assume that one was online?
Yeah, sorry, for the budget briefing, and as we've done in the past, I think we've done it for the last probably 4 years now. We've had the opportunity for online budget conversations, and that opportunity will be made again available as part of the budget briefing process.
June. Are you talking about the budget or our normal councillor engagement?
Council engagement, and the reason and rationale there is that we'll be slowly moving into caretaker period, and just to give some distance and separation.
Not till
It's-
September, October,
No.
so that's way too far in advance. That's 3 months.
It is, and it's not legislated, but in terms of public perception about candidates, from the candidate's perspective, it was just felt that that's a reasonable time. If you want to extend your conversation posts, you're more than welcome to do that beyond that date. We were just trying to give some separation and distance from the election, which is in September. But if you would like to add those, you're more than welcome to add more. Again, this is a councillor conversation post. It's not an officer initiated program, and you're more than welcome to have them every weekend for if that's what you'd like to do. But it's up to you.
Any other questions, councillors? I'll just have a mover for the recommendation. Councillor Whitfield. We have a mover for the seconder for the recommendation. Maybe. Councillor Whitfield, would you like to speak to the motion, please?
To keep the communities informed of our successes and the challenges or the difficulties that we face, and take them on the journey with us. Media releases are regularly released, but nothing compares to a face-to-face conversation. The proposed engagements will be a great opportunity for the residents of Golden Plains to hear directly from us councillors, and they can provide their opinions on the matters that are important to them. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Kirby, would you like to speak to the motion, please?
I'd also like to foreshadow a motion as well.
Aye. Any other councillors wish to speak to the motion?
I'm a little bit lost with
I foreshadowed, so now I can speak to the other one. So
going and speaking to the motion.
with the motion, I think that it's just leaving a very big blank space in between, so that way we're not actually think that we should be out end of June. You know, there's 3 or 4 months there that we really should be out there working hard.
Any councillors wishing to speak to the recommendation? Councillors wishing to speak against the recommendation?
Speak and sort of The council engagement that we've taken in the CEO's role with the comments regarding this is ultimately us. We're separated from officers. We can go out every weekend if we want, and we can do as much or as little as we like. Behind closed doors, the frustration of councillors, and it is no different today than when it was when I first got on council, is that the participation from the public is very small. You know, after year one, we went to cups of tea on every street corner, and a little bit of engagement. There was a lot of enthusiasm from the new councillors, and probably new councillors really quickly realised that the engagement isn't as high as what we would like. I suppose my voice in that room consistently for the last 4 years has been about doing more with little of us. That's 2 councillors turning up to the farmers market, 2 councillors reporting back to the bunch, and another 2 the next month, rather than all 7 of us turning up. I've put that forward several times. I've been the minority of the small voice in that. I do feel doing less of more is more benefit for the community. It's extremely difficult to support this motion, particularly option number 1 here, that we're actually acknowledging the success of councillor engagement. I probably don't agree with that point there, and will struggle to support this motion just based on those words, because ultimately at the end of the day, we went out to the community, we got very little engagement, community engagement rating and all that has dropped. We've just had a chamber full of people. We shouldn't be afraid. We go out there, we just want to talk about the budget. We shouldn't be afraid to have the tough conversations. I'm happy to speak to any of those residents there and say why I'm supportive of a decision. We're not here to appease every single resident, but we should be able to stand by the decisions, because the decisions we make don't, everyone in the community aren't supportive of that, but you should be able to stand by your decisions. So I think we shouldn't be afraid of some of those tougher conversations. Let's listen to the people that are in the room here today. Go down to Dardale, have a conversation. There are a bunch of, largely there's a lot of very civilised people, and some of that angst that's in a community is some of the best engagement I've ever had in my time as a councillor. We shouldn't be afraid of that, and we're just committing to this. I'm happy to support whatever the majority of councillors want to, but I just want to publicly air what I've been sort of saying behind closed doors with regards to doing little of more.
Any councillors wishing to speak for?
Yes, I've in support of this recommendation. I do. I don't think we're talking about standing by decisions and things. We're talking about just a reasonable structure for having meetings with people can make public submissions directly to us next year. But of course, I agree. We're always free and usually welcome to go to the many events that we have around the Shire, where we often encounter people with opinions and views about what we should and shouldn't be doing, and that's good, and I welcome it. As a mayor and as a councillor, I took part in that role seriously. I worked above the line of duty. I go to the arts festivals in Smythesdales, Haddon, Wingill, and there was a coffee with the mayor program there for a while. I try and get around and there's, I do that because you do have a lot of engagement with the community, and I really like that. I like being involved and seeing what people are up to and the great community spirit around the Shire. But I support this motion also because I think that having it concluded by the 30th of June is probably fair enough, because we will be sort of more advancing on our own then, rather as a councillor group, and seeking out those sort of engagement opportunities ourselves in terms of the election to come. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I think we'll get plenty of other feedback and wanted and unwanted engagement just with the lead up to the election itself.
Any other councillors wishing to speak against? Speak for? Not? Before I ask Councillor Whitfield to close, I'd just like to personally acknowledge the success of the Council Engagement 2023 program. I've attended most of the events and meetings, and I think it's been very beneficial for the councillor group. I think we got it right where we do coincide our listening post to when there's market events on. So there is a crowd of people there which we can engage with. Councillor Whitfield, would you like to close?
Nothing further to add, thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, we'll now put this recommendation to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Councillors, agenda item 7.5, Municipal Health and Wellbeing Plan Year 2 Monitoring and Evaluation Report. I refer councillors to page 18 of the agenda for this report and taken as read. Are there any questions to the applicable council officer? Director, sorry. If not, can I please ask for a mover for the recommendation? Councillor Gamble, thank you. Councillor, I need a seconder. Councillor Whitfield, and at this point of time, I'd just like to remind councillors to speak to... Oh, no, it's okay. No, I said just to speak into your mics. It's okay. No, it wasn't anything else. It wasn't a bit of paper. Councillor Gamble, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Mayor.
Very funny one.
This report is being presented for noting because it is mandated or legislated to fulfil Council's annual review requirements. As mandated from the state government as core business of local governments to coordinate, contribute to and monitor on the ground, so to speak. I thank the state government and Department of Health for their support and funding, and I thank the officers, partners and agencies with all their important workers for working diligently and professionally for the health and well-being of our residents. A key focus of this report is the emphasis on improving processes to collect information and self-monitoring, with the aim to provide the best outcomes for Golden Plains Shire residents. This includes getting all the 35 partners or agencies all together in the same room, a facilitated discussion forum as part of this evaluation. Also, the impact of the COVID pandemic, impacts and learnings and adjustments therefrom for health providers and the agencies can make going forward. My personal experience, there are other groups in the community that, such as the Park Run, Local Cycling Group, Rise Environmental Friends groups, which are exemplary at increasing and facilitating active living and personal well-being. But the core function of a strategy such as this is to provide and coordinate and connect people with a full and diverse range of services, conduct programs to be inclusive of all health and wellbeing needs, including preventing direct life-threatening situations such as domestic violence. Separate to this report but related is the role of local government, which also has in providing the social and community infrastructure to facilitate health and wellbeing. I feel as a council we've not done enough in certain areas. Certainly we're strong with much organised team sports, but the provision of active transport infrastructure is missing in the entire southern part of the Shire, and pedestrian crossings, other than school crossings, we have no safety designed pedestrian crossings at present on all the main roads except across this whole council. High Street, Bannockburn and the big wide, sometimes chaotic situations outside Teesdale Shop and Smythesdale are extremely difficult, challenging, unsafe for many of our residents to cross. I'm grateful and acknowledge there are plans to remedy this. Also, an item such as a public swimming pool in Bannockburn is infrastructure that is something which council can do to help with well-being, and a single, relatively modest outdoor pool such as at Winchelsea can be viable, I believe. It will greatly enhance the well-being, connectedness and water safety for the many younger residents in the southern part of the Shire. To restate, I believe our prime responsibility as councillors is to the well-being of residents. I feel confident that with the institutional multi-governmental backup of this important work has, and commend this report recommendation to my fellow councillors and to the Department of Health. Thank you.
Councillor Gamble. Councillor Whitfield, would you like to speak to the motion, please?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sorry, Councillor Whitfield got in before you, Councillor Kirby. Sorry, my apologies.
Thanks. You'll get your turn. Yeah, I found this this report intriguing. It's reporting that it had to do a report. It's unusual. So I sort of zeroed in on more on part 2 of the recommendation, where we're noting some of the measurables and successes from the Municipal Health and Wellbeing Plan. And when you dive into those activities that were undertaken, the measurable impacts are compiled by knowledge and awareness, skills and confidence, behaviour, environments and finance. And they all had, those measurables were impressive, with improvements to skills and confidence noted across such areas as gardening and harvesting, making social connections, being prepared for high school, social confidence and confidence in delivering live performances. There was also increased awareness and knowledge across such areas as service availability and provision, self-care, self-awareness, engaging and communicating with peers, improved knowledge about healthy food choices and connecting with nature. In fact, gains were made across all of the measurables, and I think it's worth mentioning the 5 priorities, which are increasing active living, preventing family violence and advancing gender equality, tackling climate change and its impact on health, and increasing healthy eating. And it would seem that this year 2 of this plan has indeed been very successful. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Well done to the MHWP team as well.
Other councillors wishing to speak to the motion? Councillor Kirby.
Thank you. My apologies, Councillor
No,
Whitfield.
no,
I thought it was me, not him.
No.
This is a very good plan on reporting, on your reporting. So I just hope that without remembering the numbers from the past, that we have had these round table discussions around the Shire, and with other outsiders coming in to make it possible. So I hope the numbers are growing, but also that we're getting some really good feedback from why some of these companies aren't coming into our Shire. We have a small majority of them that do come in, but we need to see more and more companies come and access the whole Shire and not just the edges, because they're close to Geelong or close to Ballarat. We've got to make sure that they are getting into all the areas. As we can see, we still do not have a doctor in the centre of the Shire, so it's something that we've got to keep working on and making sure we keep pushing for those services. Even if it's a health practitioner or something, we just need to have different people coming out to those more remote areas. Even if they're having men's nights, or even if they're having, picking up women so they can go to the cancer clinic for breast checks or things like that. But we've got to make sure that we are, getting the whole of the Shire, and we need these groups from outside the Shire to do these programs. So that's my main point, that hopefully a lot more of that is happening and will happen more into the future. Thank you.
Councillors wishing to speak against the motion? If not, I'll get Councillor Gamble to close.
Thank you, Councillor Whitfield, for elaborating more on the specifics. Well, a key focus for the report is the emphasis on improving processes to collect information, and but I want to, this is really important work, and I'm glad that it's being done really well throughout the Shire. So I once again thank the officers, partners and agencies, and with all their workers for working diligently and professionally for the health and well-being of our residents. Thank you.
Council is now putting the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Unanimous, carried. Thank you. Under item 7.6, COVID-19 financial hardship policy rescinding. I refer councillors to page 23 of the agenda for this report. And the recommendations council rescinds an expired COVID-19 financial hardship policy. Are there any questions for the applicable director? Kirby.
From this time, have we had many people inquiring about?
Thank you for your question, Councillor Kirby. No, we've not had any calls in relation to COVID and financial hardship. We do have, and this particular policy did lapse June 2022, so this is an administrative tidy-up that this policy, we formally recognise that this policy has lapsed. The current financial hardship policy is in place, and we have ongoing discussions with customers in relation to payment options and arrangements that we can make under those concepts. So, but nothing specific in relation to COVID, no.
Very much.
Please have a mover of the recommendation. Councillor Sharkey, happy to move the motion. Thank you. Have a seconder to the motion, please. Councillor Gamble. Thank you. Councillor Sharkey, would you like to speak to the motion, please?
Yeah, thanks very much. And as we've just been outlined, this is just a little bit of a tidy up, and we're sort of rescinding the COVID-19 financial hardship, and not to be mistaken with removing hardship policy. This was I must admit, as a previous mayor, this is one of my proudest moments as a previous mayor, having worked extremely hard to get this hardship policy up, and for the previous councillors who also advocated for this. This was in response to the unknown. When this hardship policy was put in place, we were completely unknown of what was about to happen. There was a lot of fear in the community, a lot of people advocating to reduce overall rates. And if we had have made that decision, there'd be more potholes in the roads today. We stuck firm by still increasing our rates overall, but we made a dedication to those people and put together this policy for those people that were going to be doing it hard. As it turned out, arguably people were doing it a lot easier during COVID times than what they are today. That was the unknown. This policy was put in place to help them. There was a lot of businesses, there was a lot of individuals, and also community groups that we were able to advocate and help through this policy. So when the day comes and I stand off council, I will reflect on this hardship policy as one of the proud moments there, and it was a contentious decision at the time, but it was one that looked into the future of the unknown without making assumptions. So I'd like to commend all those previous councillors that were part of this hardship policy. As we've outlined, it is just a tidy clean-up now, and we are over the financial side of COVID-19 now as we look forward into the future. Thank you very much.
Councillor Sharkey. Councillor Gamble, would you like to speak to the motion, please?
Yeah, thank you, and thanks, Councillor Sharkey, for your advocacy and support for this policy in the first place. So, yeah, it was definitely uncertain times, and it was a good strategy. Yeah, so the reason we're looking at it now is because a formal rescission is required to take it out, so to speak, to end it. And so we're addressing administrative oversight that I don't know exactly who it was, but some diligent officer probably, or people picked this up, that we still had this on this policy here. So there will be no material impact to anyone, as indicated, because the policy has already elapsed. I also use this opportunity to remind myself to get the jab updated. The vaccines are tailored to provide resistance to the latest Omicron variants. And just because it isn't as unknown and threatening entire health systems was a real concern back then, that and not as deadly now, COVID, as the initial strains were, it still is a nasty virus and can be deadly to some people still, and very disabling for many. It's about 1 in 10 people get long COVID symptoms. And yeah, I personally know someone, and it's really affected their life negatively. Just at the Teesdale Primary School Awards, Merrill Award last week, then it was very unfortunate the principal, Sam Irwin, couldn't attend his grade six's final graduation because he indeed had COVID. So I support the recommendation. Thank you.
Councillors wishing to speak against the motion? If there's not, I'll go straight to the vote. All those in favour? And item 7.7, awarding of tender Netball Pavilion, Victoria Park and Bannockburn. Councillors, I refer you to page 26 of the agenda for this report and taken it as read. Are there any questions to the applicable director? If not, can I please ask for a mover for this recommendation? Mr. Kirby, thank you. Can I ask for a seconder for the recommendation? Councillor Rowe. Thank you. Councillor Kirby, you'd like to speak to the motion, please.
Thank you. Yes, this is a great opportunity for Bannockburn to increase its female participation in netball, and the courts and buildings can be used for other activities as well. So I think this is a great partnership between the state and federal governments and council to actually be able to put this forward as one of our strategic objectives, and to be able to fund it for the future. As we know, Bannockburn's growing. It takes in a lot of the surrounding townships as well that don't have netball teams, or especially senior netball teams as well. So I think with Teesdale, not Inverleigh because they have their own, but some of the other areas, Meredith, Shelford, that a lot of these people do play down here in Bannockburn, and some even come from Rokewood down our way. So I'd just like to say that this will be a great asset for the township of Bannockburn, and I look forward to seeing it built and the participation levels increase, because we know it's all about health and well-being and people getting out and enjoying themselves and making new friends and being part of the Bannockburn and surrounds community. Thank you.
Councillor Rowe, would you like to speak to the motion, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I support awarding this contract to Bowden Court Proprietary Limited for the sum of $904,114, excluding GST, for the construction of a new netball pavilion at Victoria Park Recreation Reserve, Bannockburn. A new netball pavilion will support the current and future participation and cater for a more diverse range of user groups. The pavilion upgrade will help bridge the gap between male, female facilities and provide a space that can be multi-purpose in use. As the club is growing and there are many senior and junior scope participants, the pavilion will help address this increase and support other community groups to make use of the facility. Council was successful in securing external funding from the federal election commitment in 2022 of $690,000, and also from Sport and Recreation Victoria $1.1 million. The works to deliver the Bannockburn Victoria Netball Pavilion will include 2 female-friendly player change rooms with amenities, 2 female-friendly umpire change rooms with shared amenities, a first aid room, office space, dedicated storage space and DDAWC amenities. There was 10 tenders received for this project. So it was well tendered for, and as I've spoken in the first instance, I support awarding the contract to Bowden Corporation Proprietary Limited. Thank you.
Councillors wishing to speak against the motion? Ask Councillor Kirby to close. Oh, sorry, Gamble. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Wish to speak to the motion. Sorry, my apologies.
No worries. Yeah, I'd just like to thank the officers and panellists in awarding the tender, and like Councillor Rowe, congratulations to Bowden Corp. The pavilion upgrade will be multi-purpose in use and cater for a growing club, as spoken by Councillor Kirby as well. So also thank you to the federal government for honouring their 2022 election commitment with the grant of $690,000, and also the Victorian State Government with another election commitment for $1.1 million. It's great to see these election commitments striven for by this council being received and honoured, the funding being delivered, the tender process complete, and the construction able to commence with the money in place. So thank you, council officers and the tender awardee. Thank you.
Yeah. Councillor Kirby, if you'd like to close.
Nothing more to add. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillors, I'll now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 7.8, awarding of tender for Bannockburn Skate Bowl. I refer councillors to page 31 of the agenda for this report and taken it as read. Are there any questions to Director Josipovic regarding this agenda item? Not. Can I please ask for a mover for the recommendation? Gamble. May I ask please for a seconder? Kirby. Councillor Gamble, would you like to speak to the motion, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I commend the recommendation and the selection of independent concrete constructions to build the Bannockburn Skate Bowl. Golden Plains Shire has the highest percentage per capita of 5 to 11-year-olds for LGA, local government, in the state, much more so in the southern part of the Shire and Bannockburn in particular. Facilities such as this and bike and skate parks provide really important gender-neutral, no-cost, unstructured recreation for youth and quite young kids. Although this one, first and probably only one of its kind in the Shire will be probably only one of its kind in the Shire for quite a long time, given the costs, etc. And will most probably be also used to host competitions. Once built, access is free, friendships and relationships will be forged. Courage and hang time will be increased. Skill and confidence will grow. The skate bowl will be part of an already popular skate park complex. It will be a draw for more advanced skaters and acrobats on wheels from right around the Shire and even the region to some extent. We can't provide premium facilities such as this in all towns, but at least we will have one in the Shire. We thank and are grateful to the Victorian State Government for funding through the Growing Suburbs Fund and the local MPs for advocating and following through on the commitment to provide this infrastructure. It is noted in the recommendation that a construction contingency fund allocation has also been made and nearby drainage issues are also to be addressed. As I said with the previous item with the tender approval for the netball pavilion, it's great to see these election commitments coming to fruition. Finally, an important part of this project was the fact that it was driven by a really high quality engagement with officers from sport, recreation, comms, youth activity officers and a special guest. I was there and I can remember the music, the excitement and the kids wanting a skate bowl on their survey. And I can remember myself and the few parents finishing off the pizza. The leftovers anyway.
Councillor Kirby, would you like to speak to the motion, please?
Thank you. Once again, this is another fantastic outcome for the children and the young people of Bannockburn and the district. As Councillor Gamble mentioned, this money has come from outside sources, but we should also note that we do have a shortfall of $70,913 for this project. Now, we do know that council has found some money out of the scope from the playgrounds funds, and we know that they're ahead of time at this stage because during COVID and that we did get a lot of money from different sources to be able to fund extra playgrounds, so it took it from within. We didn't have to have it within our own budget. So I think $70,000, yes, it is a lot of money, but at the same time, this is a project that's really going to enhance and grow the community. And I just love seeing young people be able to access free activities. You know, there's no excuse, oh, there's nothing to do, mum and dad. So, you know, they're going to have fantastic facilities. And we know that other people from around the Shire will travel and take their children to these places. So I think it's going to be maybe a battle of the towns, so to speak, in the future. So you know, if you live 10 minutes up the road, if you live 20 minutes up the road during the school holidays, this is going to be such a great asset for all the children and young adults in the region. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Other councillors wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Sharkey.
Thanks very much. Just speaking just further to a couple of comments there, and I think it is important, as Councillor Kirby's highlighted there, to acknowledge the shortfall. There, you know, it is extremely difficult as a councillor or put forward a recommendation to prevent something as fantastic as this happening for the sake of a shortfall. And mindful there that the recommended addition to the contingency there is $50,000, so hopefully things go in our favour. But it is important to remember that extra $70,000 that is contributed doesn't come out of trees. It does come out of other upgrades to playgrounds or to certain things around the Shire, and all residents right across the Shire contribute towards this. And you know, there's been a couple of items come before me where I'm remembered or rehash the thoughts, and I know, you know, during our last rating review where we discussed options, we have to acknowledge at some stage that Bannockburn residents are getting far more than residents in Linton, Smearsdale and around the whole Shire. A lot of other shires have a different differential rate for townships like Bannockburn. There is a lot of people I'm speaking to in the community that all they see is the updates and upgrades. Yes, it's only 10 minutes, but you ask any kid in the Shire, even on an electric scooter, it's 30 or 40 minutes for them to travel from Teesdale, Lethbridge, and arguably impossible for a lot of kids to it. We've just discussed the 10 minutes between Linton and Smearsdale has been a big issue for people with cars. This is at kids, so I just think that at some stage in the future there has to be a conversation there regarding the amount, and I don't take away that there is a good reason why we get this money commitment from federal, state governments for these type of projects. But we have to acknowledge at some stage that Bannockburn residents get a far cry more than a lot of residents around the Shire in small communities that barely have a swing to swing on. Thank you.
Any councillors wishing to speak against the motion? If not, I'll ask Councillor Gamble to close.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, other councillors too, for raising those issues. That shortfall of the 70,000 was discussed at the briefing meeting, and yeah, we've been assured that it's set to come out of the similar pool of money with the refurbishment of playgrounds budget, so it shouldn't have any impact in other areas. It is quite a common occurrence for kids that are really into scooting and things to travel around and visit the different facilities available. I remember I took my boys all the way down to Warrnambool, stopping at every playground once. And I take on board Councillor Sharkey's points, but we do we're lucky and fortunate in a way that we are able to provide reasonable, medium level sort of skate park and bike park sort of facilities at most of our towns around the Shire, particularly the bigger ones. And but this is a more advanced facility that will be one of a kind, that will certainly have a be fully appreciated, I'm sure, by the kids that are going to be looking forward to its finished construction. Thank you.
Councillors, I'll now put this recommendation and motion to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillors, we now move to a notice of agenda item 8.1, which is notice of motion review of consideration of planning applications in first quarter of 2024. Councillor Sharkey, we have two motions on that. Any questions? Councillor Sharkey, would you like to?
Yeah, thanks very much. Just putting forward the notice of motion that Council conducts a review of the consideration of planning applications in the first quarter of 2024.
Very much. Councillors, do we have a seconder for that recommendation, please? Councillor Whitfield, thank you. Councillor Sharkey, would you like to speak to your motion, please?
Very much. This motion has been put forward, and I do appreciate that that we are going to be doing one at the middle of next year. This is bringing it forward a number of months. This puts it in writing and a public declaration that we are going to do this. I have brought up several times over the past couple of years that I personally feel there's a couple of holes within, particularly our call-in policy, and I think that we just need to have that conversation. This new council made significant changes to planning items. It's very uncommon to see a planning item put before council anymore, and in the previous council it wasn't uncommon to see 3 or 4 items per council meeting. So the change has been good. Have we changed too much? I think we should just have a round table discussion regarding that. I've I've aired my concern to all councillors here regarding the call in policy, and I don't feel that we've got it right. I don't feel that call-in process, I'm not saying that the decisions made by the officers aren't wrong, but we have a commitment to be open and transparent for the community. Even, you know, sometimes we need to publicly back our officers on a decision publicly, and just to show transparency. So it does aid officers, and there is instances where we can aid the process. So I would like to have that conversation, and by putting it in a public notice of motion, it's making that public declaration. Thank you.
Sharkey, Councillor Whitfield, would you like to speak to the notice of motion?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Look, I think a review is called for. There have been a couple of circumstances where the call-in process, they're a bit complicated or not, well, maybe not complicated, but not clear, I'll say. And a couple of other oddities, such as if an application is called in and then withdrawn, we follow these applications on weekly updates. You can see that it's being called in, and then it might be withdrawn, and we aren't really notified why they were withdrawn or what the rationale is there. And yeah, there are just a few areas that could be tidied up a little bit, I believe. Thanks.
Any other councillors wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Gamble, thank you.
Yeah, I'm supportive of this request for a review. I'm not sure that it was necessary to bring it forward as a notice of motion. I think we could have requested that in-house. But yeah, it's a general principle. There's a couple of little issues I've noticed as well, different ones. But I believe that it's appropriate that we have a bit of a think and deliberative session on best way forward on it. Thank you.
Any councillors wishing to speak against the motion? If not, I'll get Councillor Sharkey to close.
Thanks very much, and I do take the comments of Councillor Gambrell in terms of this needing to be open and transparent with the community. I think there's a fair comment in there, and I think there's probably a better process that we as a council can do with councillors wanting reports brought forward. I have, and you will be well aware that I have called for this quite a number of months ago and gone through that process, and it hasn't eventuated. So I do feel a notice of motion is just that sort of open and transparent way of doing it. But I do take on board, and maybe there's another conversation there that should be had, because as you all are aware, I've put forward a couple of notice motions asking for a couple other reports that have just come once I've put that notice there. So probably a little bit of better communication between us and the officers with maybe a public list of things that we want put on a table, and I probably fully agree that some of these notice of motions don't need to be put into the open forum for debate, but they should be put into an open means by way of the public sort of seeing what we are discussing. Thank you.
Councillor Sharkey. Councillors, I now put this motion to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. 2, notice of motion, long-term financial plan report on Lamandra Drive, Teesdale. The second notice of motion was submitted by Councillor Clayton Whitfield. The motion no there. Councillor Whitfield, would you like to just state the intent of your notice of motion?
I'm just being told my battery's running low, but I thought the power was on. I'd lose everything if that went off. I
think we've taken a
little bit of opportunity just to introduce the motion.
You can.
Yeah, so basically I'm asking for a report to come to a council briefing to be provided within 3 months, just letting us know potential impact to the long-term financial plan of directing the profits of the sale of council-owned land to a dedicated reserve, and asking about potential uses for the land sale profits and where the current proceeds have been spent, what projects or programs or future proceeds or profits are allocated to. My motivation for this is, as a councillor, I can't say with any certainty or detail, other than it goes into consolidated revenue, where the proceeds, profits of ratepayer-owned land that is currently for sale is being used or is planned to be used. That's why I'm asking for this report. Thank you.
We have a councillor, please, to second this motion. Rowe. Thank you. Councillor Whitfield, would you like to speak to your motion, please?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yes. I'll just point out again that the report I'm requesting concerns the income from ratepayer-owned land sales at Lamandra Estate in Teesdale. As I said, when introducing this motion, I think councillors and for that matter, the public should have a greater understanding of where this income is going, other than into consolidated revenue. Stage 1 of the Lamandra Estate has 14 lots titled and they're on the market. Overall, there will be approximately 37 lots for sale, providing a return to ratepayers of approximately $16 million less investment development costs. That's a lot of money not to have a specific purpose. By providing a report on the potential use of the land sale profits, so which projects or programs the future profits will be allocated to, how the income from these land sales affect Council's long-term financial plan, councillors can act to ensure that this ratepayer-owned asset is being sold off to advantage and to benefit future generations of Golden Plains residents. I think it's very important for transparency that where this income goes and how it is specifically used is accessible by the public, and I think in due course I'll ask for reporting of that to be done in the end of year financial council report. I just wrap up to be clear that at this point I'm only asking for a report. Once that report is presented, the information will allow councillors as a collective to decide the most beneficial use of this income for the ratepayers of Golden Plains. This land was a legacy gift from previous councils, and it's our duty to ensure that we use it wisely. The information presented in the report will give us the best chance to do that. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Rowe, would you like to speak to this motion, please?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this is an excellent motion presented to Council by Councillor Whitfield to get a report brought forward directing the profits of the Lamandra Drive Teesdale to a dedicated fund. At the moment, these monies are directed to consolidated revenue and can be used to pay salaries and remuneration of staff. From a ratepayer's point of view, I think we can get better value out of these land sales. Golden Plains Shire Council inherited this land during amalgamation in 1994, and it was a property of the Shire of Lee, and from what I can gather was a former site for taking gravel by that shire. Down the track we can get to know what the public want to do with this revenue, and I think personally it should be used in the first instance to rehabilitate our old rubbish tips that we've inherited and used to maintain a number of our council buildings and property which are desperately in need of refurbishment and a good spruce up. Thank you.
Any councillors wishing to speak to the motion? Speak against the motion? If not, I'll ask Councillor Whitfield to close.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, and thanks, Councillor Rowe, for adding to the motion there. I do think I wouldn't like to jump the gun and presume to suggest where the money should go until we see the report. That will enable us to have all the information, but I'm sure all councillors have some idea where they'd like to see it go. But let's just wait for the report on that one. Yeah, I think it's quite just a simple motion. Thanks, asking for a report, and if anything comes out of it, then very good. Thank you.
Yeah, councillors, I'll put this notice of motion to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Petitions nil, urgent business nil, confidential reports for decision. Councillors, there are two confidential items for consideration tonight. These items are considered confidential as defined in Section 3 of the Local Government Act. Can I please ask for a councillor to move a motion for the meeting to be closed to the public to consider these confidential business items?
Can I just ask a question prior to going to confidential? Yeah, just in regards to the Bannockburn South Precinct community infrastructure open space, just asking the question or just highlighting why we need to actually go into confidentiality for that and not discuss that in public.
Advice.
I'm happy to respond.
Yes, councillor.
This in relation to Bannockburn South East, Councillor Sharkey. Yep. So the information contained in the report aims to inform the draft PSP and DCP. Neither of these are public or endorsed by council or the VPA currently. The information in the report could be used to speculate on land value, and the information may change ahead of the PSP or DCP being prepared for exhibition, and could set expectations that may not eventuate. The exhibition of the PSP and DCP is the appropriate time for the information to be made publicly available. The VPA have requested the information remain confidential at this time.
Thank you very much.
Councillors can have a councillor to move the motion be moved in, close the public and moved to be closed. Councillor Rowe, can I have a seconder? Councillor Kirby. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. I'll now ask members of the gallery to leave the meeting so the meeting can be considered confidential matters. The live stream will also cease at this point of time. Thank you for joining us at